Gadgada Vaivanya Unmada Vishada Dairya Gava Harshadanya Sweda Perspiration Kampa Trembling Romancha Standing of the hairs on the body Ashru Tears Gadgada Faltering Vaivanya Changing of the bodily color Unmada Madness Vishada Melancholy Dairya Patience Garva Pride Harsha Joyfulness Dainya Humbleness Eta in many ways Bhave in ecstasy Prema love of Godhead Bhakta Ganere unto the devotees Nachaya causes to dance Krishnera of Lord Krishna Ananda transcendental bliss Amrita nectar Sagare in the ocean Bhashaya floats. Translation of Purple Vaishnava Prabhupada. Perspiration, trembling, standing of one's bodily hairs, tears, faltering, fading, madness, melancholy, patience, pride, joy and humility. These are various natural symptoms of ecstatic love of Godhead, which causes a devotee to dance and float in an ocean of transcendental bliss while chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Srila Jiva Goswami in his Priti Sandarbha, verse 66, explains this stage of love of Godhead. Bhagavat Priti Rupa Vritti Mayadi Mayi Nabhavati Kintu Swarupa Shakti-ananda Rupa Yadananda Paridina Sri Bhagavan Apiti. Similarly, in the 69th verse, he offers further explanation. Tad evam priti lakshanam chitta dravastasya cha romahashadikam katanchich jatapi chitta drave romahashadike vanacha navana Ashaya sudis tadapi nabhaktehe samyak avibharv iti jnaptum ashaya sudhi namachanya tatparya parityagaha priti tatparyamcha ateva nimitta swabhaviki cheti tad visheshanam. Transcendental love of Godhead is not under the jurisdiction of the material energy, for it is the transcendental bliss and pleasure potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since the Supreme Lord is also under the influence of transcendental bliss, when one comes in touch with such bliss in love of Godhead, one's heart melts, and the symptoms of this are standing of the hairs on end, etc. Sometimes a person thus melts and manifests these transcendental symptoms, yet at the same time is not well behaved in his personal transactions. This indicates that he has not yet reached complete perfection in devotional life. In other words, a devotee who dances in ecstasy, but after dancing and crying appears to be attracted to material affairs, has not yet reached the perfection of devotional service, which is called Ashaya Suddhi, or the perfection of existence. One who attains the perfection of existence is completely averse to material enjoyment and engrossed in transcendental love of Godhead. It is therefore to be concluded that the ecstatic symptoms of Ashaya Sukhi are visible when the devotee serves has no material cause and is purely spiritual in nature. These are characteristics of transcendental love of God as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. Savaya pumsam paradamo yato bhaktir adhokshaje ahoitaki apratiyata yeatman supersediti. That religion is best which causes its followers to become ecstatic in love of God, which is unmotivated and free from material impediments. For this only can completely satisfy the self. Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, Chapter 2, Text number 6. I'll just read the translation again. Perspiration, trembling, standing of one's bodily hairs, tears, faltering, fading, madness, melancholy, patience, pride, joy and humility. These are various natural symptoms of ecstatic love of Godhead, which causes a devotee to dance and float in an ocean of transcendental bliss while chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Namagyantanarantasya Viranjana Shalaka Chakshushrindritam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, with my eyes tightly shut. My spiritual master forced my eyes open with the torchlight of transcendental knowledge. Therefore I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. A list of ecstatic symptoms. Symptoms which are recognizable on different levels, different platforms, and also achievable. Perspiration. Does anybody not perspire? And tears, or bodily hair standing on end. Faltering, like stammering, I guess. Fading, madness. Slobbering. But then melancholy, patience, pride, joy and humility. Joy and humility. These are natural symptoms. They're natural expressions. The reason that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is describing these, and this is the statement of Ishvarapuri Maharaj in answer to Lord Chaitanya's questions about what is the power of the mantra. Am I chanting it properly? I think I'm becoming mad, pagala. So please assure me, am I in the correct direction? Lord Chaitanya, he's Krishna, he's God. So he's God in the mood of the devotee. He's powerful enough to act as God, and at the same time, understanding the need of the time, he's taken on a particular mood to show the conditioned souls, to show the devotees how they should act in relationship to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's acting like even Krishna. Krishna acts like a human being. He comes in a human-like form. Lord Chaitanya, he's acting like a devotee. He's displaying the symptoms of a devotee. If people were to address Lord Chaitanya as God, he would cover his ears and say, Vishnu, Vishnu, Vishnu. It's an offence to call a living entity the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But at the same time, he's acknowledging, or he's happy to see that we can recognise who he is. So there's a conundrum, a dichotomy, how to live in the world of interactions and human behaviour, and not animal behaviour, and interrelationships, expression, without getting puffed up and carried away and thinking that this world is created because of us and we are the centre of the universe, which is the product of false ego. False ego is actually the linchpin, the connection between the pure state of existence, the spiritual soul, the spark, the little drop of spiritual energy, which is us, now in connection with the external energy, the material sphere. The connection, what keeps us here, what enables us to stay here, what has brought us here, what binds us here, is that ahankara, the false ego, the conception of who am I. So, Lord Caitanya expressing here, giving a personal example, and then Jiva Goswami giving a very solid definition of what is being said. And the word that Prabhupada brings out in the purport, which was there in the middle of all of that Sanskrit, was quoted, was Ashaya Suddhi. Ashaya Suddhi. And Ashaya Suddhi is referred to as the perfection of existence. The perfection of existence. We were asked last time we had class about, okay, these perfections, they should be there immediately, they should be there automatically, but they are in minute quantities. We're the same as God. We're non-different from God. Jivara Swarupoi Krishna Nityadas. Beta Beta Prakash. We're non-different, but at the same time, inconceivably different. We're simultaneously one, but inconceivably different. So we have qualities of God, but in different quantity. Minute quantity, infinitesimal. We are infinitesimal, God is infinite. So that perfection of existence, we're already perfect, but the realization of it, the ability to live on that platform, just like there are many different people who talk about self-realization, they talk about the nature of reality, they talk about that it's all one. It's easy to say, it is all spiritual. It's easy to say, there's some nice little songs. God is love, and love is God, and God and I are one. And it's a happy party song you can sing, but it's easy to say, but can you realise it? Can you live on that level? The Vaishnavas, the devotees who are aspiring to become servants of Krishna, they will hear such a pronouncement, and they will challenge such a song, such a group, saying, okay, if it's all one, then it's all opulent, it's all wealth. It's all one. So if your money is in your pocket or in my pocket, what's the difference? It's all one. So hand over your wallet. So many people, no, I can't do that. So they're not living up to their words. if they're really confident, if they're because the reason why people are saying that is that it's popular or it's fashionable, but they don't go into depth. They don't try and understand. They don't realise how stupid it is. They don't realise how impractical it is. We're one. We're one, but he's different. He's an individual, and I'm an individual. We're one. We're one. We're human beings. We're one. We're in the same family. We've got the same business, but we're still distinctly individuals. So it's a product of misinformation, poor intelligence, poor fund of knowledge, fashion, inability to think. These concepts, they're poor-hearted concepts. So Lord Chaitanya, the Supreme Personality of God, he's full of, and he has the capability of reciprocating with every individual to the max, Rasamrita, Akila Rasamrita Murti. He's the object of our affection, the object of our love, and because he can reciprocate with us properly, fully, with everybody, fully, properly, in all of the different moods. We're all individuals. Prabhupada was telling a funny story that during the war there was the opposing sides. There's the Germans and the Allied forces, and the mothers of the soldiers. They were at home and they were praying, "Please bring our sons home. Please let us win the war." And the other side was praying the same thing. "Please let our sons come home from the war. Let us win." So Prabhupada's comment was, well, Krishna, he's got to balance up all this. He's got to fulfill all of these desires. So he's in a quandary. They've got to win, and they've got to win. So how to satisfy all of the desires of the living entities? But he can do it. He's capable. Another more within even one house. Prabhupada gave the example of you're in your house and you're sleeping and you're concerned about security and you're praying, "Please don't let the thieves come in. I'm safe, I'm protected here. So please protect me." And then at the same time a thief comes and breaks in and starts praying, "Oh, please, don't let me get discovered. I want to be successful here." So how to effectively satisfy the desires of these two opposing expressions. So God, Prabhupada made a joke, he said, God is bewildered. We're obviously all not one. We have that desire, we have that to love and to be loved. And the only way that can be perfected is by reposing that love in a single point, in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because he's the only one capable of reciprocating with everybody. It's a selfless love that we're expressing, hopefully, and it's a full reciprocation coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Any other attempt to become full, to become complete, to become the well-wisher everybody, to become satisfied in our relationship, to be not incomplete, not defective, is fraught with failure. Bound to be a failure. So it sounds complicated. It sounds a lot of adjustment, but this is the mentality. This is the state of pure existence, the state of perfection, which exists in the spiritual world, where all of the living entities are perfect. In order to be in the spiritual world, there's no inebrity, there's no faults, so that's our destination. That's where we've come from, and that's where we can return to by a proper application of the step-by-step sadhana of approaching a spiritual master, hearing from him submissively, rendering service to him, and in due course of time becoming more realised, becoming more practiced, more steeped, more steady, more fixed in those practices. The problem which is being addressed in a few of these purports and verses is that the symptoms tend to be taken up and dealt with cheaply by charlatans, people who are committed to an erroneous way of thinking, a cheating mentality, Caitanya mentality. So they take some of these symptoms and then they will try and make a profit from them. The devotees, they went to India and they saw a whole lot of amazing displays of devotion, of yoga, of business, of sleight of hand, all sorts of things. And sometimes there was a kirtan in the temple and a person would come in and discover the kirtan and then suddenly go into a state of ecstasy. They would roll on the ground and tears would come from their eyes. They were rolling on the ground, they would beat themselves up and become dishevelled and then stunned. So as the devotees for the first time, they were wondering, what's going on? Are they having a fit? Or what should we do? Prabhupada, he heard about them and he said, what did you do? We said, we did nothing. We just stood back, we didn't know how to act. So Prabhupada said, you should have kicked them in the head. Offered boots to their faces. So the devotees were shocked. That's pretty right. Why would we do that? Prabhupada then explained, well, if that ecstasy is genuine, then they won't respond. They're in another state of consciousness. It's real, and you can't stir them from that. But if it's not genuine, and more than likely it won't be, they'll revert back to their actual natural condition. They'll start cursing and complaining. And then you understand, be able to discriminate. So rather than just buying into that display and accepting it blindly, we should test it. We're meeting people on the street, we're just trying to distribute books, and they're, yeah, this is great. Christians often use that tactic. Yeah, I love what you're saying, but have you accepted Jesus into your heart? And, language scriptures, and yeah, well, so we should push them. We should push them. So, can you give a donation? Do you want to come back to the temple with me? We'll go and see Krishna. Take a book. One devotee, Vijay, he met such a person and the person was condemning and screaming and yelling. And he said, this work is from the devil. You're all condemned. So he said, well, maybe you should take a book to find out what you're up against, what your enemy is speaking, so you can actually counter it. And he did. The Christian took the book and gave a donation. He had to stick to his words. That this is so. There's different ways of counteracting, and you often meet these people and demons. They create a big disturbance. So if you're not powerful enough to kill them, kill their mentality, then you've got to get away and leave it up to Krishna. There was one during the car park once, a man was following us around and yelling, these guys are shams, these are Hare Krishnas, don't come here. And we just kept on moving away, and eventually he gave up. And we heard a car rev up and make a lot of noise, and he took off screeching, and then he hit something. So Krishna saw it. Krishna saw it. You don't have to worry about them. Their comeuppance will come very quickly. You can pray to Lord Vishnu. Another time, we were in a car park in Tasmania, and it was all misty. It was early in the morning, and we met a lot of people, and one friendly person said, well, you should actually ask for permission that the manager here is a nice person, it's Mr. Such and Such. So he said, yeah, we'll get there. And then about 5 minutes later, another person emerged from the fog, and they were a big demon. And they started harassing and saying, what are you doing here? This is illegal. I'm going to call the cops. So we had the name of the manager, and we just, no, it's all right. We talked to the manager. And it fizzled him out like anything. He just turned away downhearted. Because it takes a lot of effort to be so nasty. It's said that to smile takes so many muscles. To frown, to be angry, takes 47 more muscles to be involved. It's actually a real big endeavour. You screw up your demons are there. They don't have horns, but you can feel the smoke coming out of their ears, and you can feel the venom. So people who are nasty, then they have this. There's something wrong. There's something wrong, and if you challenge them, if you expose the failure of then they snap back. They're like snakes. So Prabhupada, he was asked, Prabhupada, how can we remain? How can we keep humble? We're distributing books and we meet, and sometimes we get puffed up. We get some recognition. So how do we remain humble? So Prabhupada's response was, be aggressive. And the devotees press their head, humble, be aggressive. So Prabhupada had to explain it. He said a devotee should be like a lion in the chase and like a lamb at home. So when you're dealing with the enemies of Krishna, when you're dealing with people who are not favourable, then you should aggressively push the point. You should not let them go. You should squeeze them until they surrender, until they sacrifice something and become involved in Krishna consciousness. But then when you come back home with all of those successes, you have to be like a lamb at home. Not me that did it. I was just acting on behalf of Krishna. Krishna, it's for his service that I was acting so aggressively. And to come home and to continue with that mood, then that's a misuse of the quality of humility. It's not humble, but in a certain circumstance, then humility means to be aggressive for Krishna. Like there are other symptoms of a devotee, meek and humble and offering respect. So they can also be used in different ways, in different times, places and circumstances. In the mid-80s we went to Dallas. Srinivas and myself, we went there to teach them how to distribute paintings, to collect. And we got there, and there were a lot of devotees. They were nice. It was a very, very puckered community, and practically everybody we met, they would offer respects, and they would give us a couple of seconds, and then they would pass on. But there was only one person who went a little bit beyond that. So that sort of person can be called, not all of them, but they can be called a Dandavat devotee. They pay Dandavats, they know the outward appearance of what it means to be a devotee. They've got perfect tilak and big neck beads, and they're all pressed clothes, and they're looking very puckered. But the qualities of the devotee are supposed to go deeper than skin deep. You don't just assess somebody by their dress. It's very important. First dress, then address. Nobody wants to hear from somebody who looks like a slob. You're talking to somebody, and often people have to check out what sort of shoes you've got. This is a sort of sense of assessment. So devotees, they used to have odd socks like that, so people used to think a little bit funny. So in Dallas, while we were there, only one devotee went a little bit beyond just the formalities of being a friendly person. And they looked after us a little bit. And we found out after a couple of interactions, they had visited New Govardhana before. They were aware of a different mood. They were aware of where we come from. We were not just marauders coming there to disrupt their service and to be given some respect. but nothing beyond that, nothing from the heart. So there's a category of devotee. They have taken that non-service route to an extreme. They're known as Caitanya. People who are actually antagonistic, agents of Kali. And it's said that in this day and age there are demons who can be born in the family of Brahmanas. So we can have within the movement, we can have people who are a disturbance rather than trying to propagate, to help, to spread Krishna consciousness. They're trying to disrupt Krishna consciousness. So it requires some diligence, it requires some expertise on behalf of the devotees, the managers, to be able to weed those people out. We had a situation here on New Govardhana where there was the members, well, there were a lot of people who, the so-called community devotees, they eventually got set at a distance. They took shelter of another acharya, and so therefore the GBC ruled that they were no longer allowed to be given service within this institution. So they all had to leave. So the local managers discovered that all the problems had gone. The source of the problems was the community, that they had all this agitation, all this what we're supposed to get from the temple, what the temple is supposed to supply us with. So by following that other acharya, he did a great service by helping to remove all of the unwanted, nasty elements. So due diligence to call a spade, to be able to recognise who's with us or who's against us, who's part of the party. And then there was other policies brought in around that time that such members of such organisations, they were allowed to visit, and they can't be denied access to the deities, but they weren't allowed to speak. In fact, the acharya, he was due to come to Sydney Temple, and I was appointed to greet him, and I was rehearsing my lines. Jai Maharaj, nice to see you. Thank you for coming. But you're not allowed to speak. Well, but it's natural respect that the acharya should. Well, sorry, somebody else has been scheduled to give a class. Fortunately, he didn't turn up, so I was saved that nerve-wracking experience. I didn't know if I'd be able to carry off that offence. So the perfection, asaya suddhi, perfection of existence, means that the natural symptoms of love of God, they're there incomplete, they're there fully. There's no aberrations, there's no reverting back to another persona. There are people who recite the Bhagavatam, the Srimad Bhagavatam, but they're doing it for money, and they make a show of it. And in the middle, then they start crying, and they start displaying some of these symptoms. But as soon as they finish their recitation, they walk off step off the rostrum, walk behind the curtain, and they pull the chilies out of their nose. So it's really cheap, and it's just but it deceives most of the people. So here the acharyas are expressing very clearly, very succinctly, where it's going to come in due course of time, the perfection of existence, when one no longer has any attachment to material things, detachment, that's what I said last time, that we've got these symptoms, we have them, they're not so tangible. More tangible is how detached we become. That's something that we could say, well, I must be becoming a little bit more advanced because I used to be so attached to this and this and this. So now they don't have such an influence on me, such a sway upon me. So, Caitanya Caritamrita, this section of Caitanya Caritamrita is discovering the potency, it's an expression of the effects of chanting Hare Krishna. And it's also that chanting Hare Krishna These are the natural results. We do experience them, but when we don't experience them non-stop, when we revert back, it's an indication that we're still not perfected, we're still not pure. There's nothing wrong with the process. We don't turn around and say, sour grapes, there's something bogus, there's something wrong, I'll go and take up a better process. There's nothing wrong with the process. Chanting Hare Krishna will naturally give all of these results, but we're still contaminated. We're still affected by material desires. And so that should be the effort. Try and become more detached. Try and act for purification. Try and, rather than seeking recognition and lovely qualities, they're there, they're naturally there, but to be more in touch and in tune with where we're at. Okay, thank you, it's nice, but I'm just a beginner. If there's any credit, it's due to my spiritual master. He's engaged me in this amazing process. Please refer to somebody who's a genuine, more advanced, senior devotee, like that. Humility. Humility, as one of our friends here often says, if you don't have these qualities, fake it until you make it. Just, if you don't feel humble, just try and act humble. And it'll rub off after some time. And then, the devotees will always test. They'll glorify you. They'll try and see, are you really like that? Because it's not conniving. It's not. What's the word? It's not nasty. It's just for the benefit. Everybody's aspiring to become a good representative, a fit representative of the best devotees. So it takes a group, it takes a village, it takes a whole family. We're not going to be able to do it on our own. Some people are thinking we should maybe pray for another acharya, for another Jagat Guru, pure devotee who could help to drag us out of the what we slipped into after the departure of our previous acharya. But other devotees are saying that no, I'm looking for one pure devotee. When Prabhupada was asked how many pure devotees in the movement, he asked how many devotees in the movement? And somebody answered 75. He said, okay, so 75 pure devotees. So we're all capable. And then another, Krishna Chaitanya was saying, rather than looking for that in one individual, we should look for what's called collective saintliness. Collective saintliness, to see the saintly qualities in everybody, and as a collective, then that will enable us to increase the purity and increase the potency and be more effective. There's certainly many obstacles fought against Krishna consciousness, environmental, scientific, practical, financial, so many obstacles, but they can all be overcome by the power of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. In the association of devotees, remember Maharaj was saying that association, more chanting Hare, more important than chanting Hare Krishna is associating with devotees, getting the association of devotees. So we should value the devotees, we should appreciate them, we should know what is a real devotee, we should try and come up to that standard of being a real devotee. We shouldn't tolerate something less, or we should be tolerant, but we shouldn't consider that that's proper. We should try and rectify if we can. So, does anybody have any questions or comments, disagreements?
Someone can be in ecstasy, actually feel the ecstasy, dancing, and it seems to indicate quite a high level of achievement in Krishna consciousness, but then they can go away and be seen to be engaged in material affairs. So in one sense it's like of course, there's two levels. When someone can make a show of being exited, when you took them, someone can make a show, and actually at the next moment, just go about material activities. The prophet seems to be indicating another level of personality that is actually quite on a higher platform, but it's not totally perfected yet. But there's a tendency still for material activities. And so I was just I was remembering in the Caritamrita, Vishwana Parayana does talk about different levels of someone who can actually get up to, nishta and ruchi. Ruchi is taste, higher taste. He says the higher level, there's two levels of ruchi when everything's the kirtan's nice. And everything's going smooth, and then you feel ecstasy, but when kirtan's not so nice, or there's not such a good speech, prasad's not so good, then you don't have the same level of taste. So, and then he kind of mentioned something about the little strains of ruchi and bhava, not on the high level, but actually going through even all the other levels, even the lower levels. So just more of a comment really. I think that it seems that each devotee has that level of get some ecstasy, sometimes feel ecstasy, and it can come up to the topmost level, but can be go back. And he, Vishwana Chakravarti, is it Vishwana? Vishwana. And he says that can be the result of lasting material attachments, or can be the results of apparatus, and he gives a lot of explanation of the reason why someone can get to the high level but still have some sort of material affinity. And so I just noted that when you were reading through and I was looking at it, that probably doesn't sort of mention, it doesn't, not so, as I said, not so much about the one who's just making a show, but one who actually, but not completely perfect. And so therefore the level of bhava and prema, even the Shakti, where you follow in and then there's different levels of manifestation, vibhava and anubhava, vyabhichara, all the different levels, and some manifesting, feeling ecstasy, then manifesting the symptoms of ecstasy, all these types of levels. So it's, Prabhupada, he just mentioned it generally, but when you think about it, there's a lot more to it.
Yeah,
because we see sometimes that some devotees reach very high level, but somehow or other they go back to the material activities. And some go right away up together, even seemingly attend a high level. So, just a comment really, I think. I don't know if you want to make a comment on that.
Well, Maurice, you were also quoting last time we had a class from Madhurya Kadambini. You were quoting last time from Madhurya Kadambini, so.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking of mentioning Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So he, as an Acharya, Jiva Goswami mentioned Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was involved in fine-tuning our understanding. And I think we mentioned that the previous time that in the Shraddha to Prem, that, or I might have commented back, that the Shraddha to Prem, that you can be like an Uttama Adhikari in one element, honoring prasadam or serving the devotees almost, but you can be complete kanishta in another element. So there is definitely areas where you can become perfected, where you can achieve those higher levels, but until it's all over, until it's well-rounded, everything's there, then these will be likely be like a cause for suffering, for problems.
Yeah. And then all the different levels of Uttama Adhikari as well. Giri does mention about that as well. I think that we have to also be a bit careful when we talk about Kali Chelas and things like that. And who is branded as a Kali Chela. You're quite aggressive in your presentation. You talk about being aggressive. But I think we have to be careful also, just to comment on that. You're talking about going out lion in the chase and a lamb at home. And how to be humble, be aggressive. I think that I was there one time when Subbalakshmi actually asked that question to Prabhupada. Melbourne about how we should be out there. And he and Prabhupada gave that same example about the lion and the chasing. But he was talking a bit more generally about how to spread Krishna consciousness. I don't know about, I guess you could, you mentioned that someone who's aggressive to the devotee, how to deal with them, you have to be aggressive back. But for Krishna, I think that would have to be qualified a little bit, because sometimes it backfires on you. It's like, someone who's really aggressive, if you're aggressive back, and then it's like holding a red flag to a bull, they just charge them up more, and it doesn't go anywhere. So you have to, I think we need to qualify that sort of statement, but you have to see, and generally more experienced devotees know you have to learn how more experienced devotees handle those situations. I was very impressed with that story about Vijay, he was able to turn that and sell a book even to the really aggressive Christian who was there calling us demons and everything. So he's so advanced and so expert. So I think devotees have to learn how to deal with different types of people in different situations. Generally, to spread Krishna consciousness, we have to be aggressive or like a lion in the chase at home. But how to deal with individuals that sometimes come up, I think that sometimes it works being like aggressive with them, and sometimes you have to. So I think it will be case by case kind of situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just
I'm sure I didn't want the devotees to go out there and bang people up with a boat or something.
Well, I was hoping that devotees would take it in the sense of just try, and you'll get that reaction. You'll realise how flimsy, how weak you are. It's still determination. Just keep trying and understand and learn how in different circumstances that we don't have to be completely timid. Somebody can be on a completely artificial platform, and if you can. One person was walking past me, and I don't know whether I was frustrated or I just mentioned, do you realise you're going to die? So, and they walked about 10 steps down the road, and they stopped and they came back and they said, do you know what you just said to me? And somehow or other they were contemplating that, or it got through to them. Krishna puts words in your mouth, you don't know why you said it. And then you have to either say, well, it's a fact, or I'm sorry for disturbing you like that, but please, we've got something that can help you in such a circumstance. So at least have a try. Don't, because humility, the field of preaching is excellent for developing humility. You're going to get smashed, and then humility means that you just keep trying, you keep on determined to get up and try. So you try different approaches. Yeah. And certainly we shouldn't even try until we're feeling confident, until we're actually settled, because you'll get overwhelmed, your senses will get overpowered. The Christians who say, have you accepted Jesus into your heart? They're actually testing your very faith. Do you have that relationship? Are you? So they're nasty, and they should be avoided. But if you're capable of if you're strong enough, if you have experience enough, then they can also take books, because they are studying the scriptures. They might be sincere. Thank you, Maharaj. Okay. Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai.